Are you afraid that your mistakes are too big for God to forgive? Well, here's the truth that will actually set you free. We all have a past of things that we've done that maybe we're not super proud of, but God has the forgiveness for it all, and I'm going to show you throughout scripture. I'm going to share just a couple people in the Bible that have wronged God, but God still used for amazing things. The first one I want to talk about is Moses. We all know about Moses splitting the Red Sea and leading the Israelites out of Egypt. We know about Moses receiving the Ten Commandments, and we know about God just working through Moses throughout scripture. What many people don't know is that before God had done any major move in Moses' life, Moses actually killed an Egyptian man when he saw him beating a Hebrew slave. God still used him. The next one I want to talk about is Rahab, who was a prostitute in Jericho. God used her to hide the Israelite slaves and help them escape. And because of her faith, guess who came from her lineage? Jesus. Tell me that does not scream redemption from God. But the main character that I want to address when it comes to this topic, because I don't think anyone else in the Bible comes close, is Saul, who then becomes Paul. If you don't know, in the Bible, there's a man named Saul, and he is just going around persecuting Christians just for being Christian. He's enslaving them, putting them in prison, killing them, telling other people to kill them. He's just doing anything he can to just persecute Christians. Well, let me read you what God says to Saul when he encounters him. Now, this is Acts chapter 9, verse 3 through 5. Now, as he went on his way, he approached Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven shone around him. And falling to the ground, he heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And he said, "Who are you, Lord?" And he said, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting." So here we have Jesus literally speaking to Saul and calling him out for his sin. So because of God's light that God showed Saul when he was asking him why he's persecuting him, Saul literally becomes blind. So because Saul is blind, God is about to use a man named Ananias, who is another man of God, to go heal Saul. So let me read you what God is saying to Ananias in Acts chapter 9, verse 15 regarding Saul. "But the Lord said to him, 'Go, for he is a chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel.'" This doesn't make sense, but usually the things God does don't make sense to us. So Ananias is now freaking out. He's like, what am I supposed to do? This guy's literally going to kill me. Look at his track record. He's killing Christians. So think about this for a second. We have one man who's been persecuting Christians and just sinning against God. And then we have another man who's a man of God. And God is using this man to go heal the one that's been persecuting against God, because God is saying, I'm specifically calling him. What we then come to find out is that Paul is used by God to write 50% of the New Testament. God is not just looking to forgive you, he's looking to redeem you. He's looking to bring the best out of you and show you that everything he has called for you to do can only be done when you're walking with him. There's nothing that you've done in your past that can separate you from the love of God. All we have to do is accept it. The devil wants you to sit in shame and guilt and basically tell yourself that you're not worthy of God's love because of your past, when God is literally telling us the opposite. God is telling us all throughout scripture that our past does not define us, God does. And God specifically called Saul, who was a terrible person at this time, his chosen instrument. There's nothing that you've done that is worse than what Saul has done. So I believe that God specifically chose Saul with all of us in mind, which is crazy to even fathom, but think about it. If God can use him, now we have no excuse to not accept God's forgiveness. If God can forgive Saul of his sin, then there is no sin that's too big that God can't forgive. He's waiting to give you the grace that he has for you. All we have to do is ask and accept it. So remember that your past doesn't define you, God does. And he's calling you son or daughter and has such amazing plans for you. All we have to do is believe it.